Hello my friends and welcome to episode 21 of our Football Manager 2021 Let's Play with Rangers. Today it's just going to be a really quick, transfer sort of review, where we're at money wise, who we've brought in and who we've brought out and whatnot. So we're starting with the outs. Now I've had to go back to the end of last season because for whatever reason on this year's edition, the early signings, particularly in Scotland where the window opens in June, a lot of the transfers show as last season's. So first off we had Ross McCausland, Lewis McKinnon, Cole McKinnon, Umar O'Baldi all leaving the club straight away. Leon King, that is a suspected spam caller, so I will just ignore that. Sorry guys, I don't have my phone on mute as well. Leon King, his contract was up at the end of the season, so I'll give him a renewal, but part of that he requested a loan. So we found a loan to Aberdeen. Now this did affect sort of my business. I did want to, give him some game time this season. But I felt this, probably was a good loan for him as well. Unfortunately, he's broke his foot quite early into that loan. But hopefully, he can recover, kick on, and go and have a very good season on loan at Aberdeen, who hopefully will. They've got quite a weak defence this season, so hopefully he will get the game time that he needs. And at top flight football with a very good team around him is kind of what I'm hoping for. Simon McGinty on loan, Chris Mockery on loan, Adam Devine on loan, and then Kyle Semple on loan, and then Lewis Mayo goes to Newcastle for 1.3 million. I can't remember if we've got an add-on for this now. Newcastle were showing interest, and he was worth about 300,000 at this point. And I thought, do you know what? He's always going to be that backup defender. I'm pretty sure there is a sell on here, to be fair. If we can get some decent money for him, I don't think he's going to develop too much more. Doesn't necessarily suit our system. He's very good in the air. He's got a lot of stamina. He's fairly quick. He's not quick, but he's not slow, if that makes sense. But he can't pass, so he can't really suit our system. So he was always going to be a backup centre back. And I thought, do you know what, if we get some money for him, it's maybe not a bad thing. I apologise, my phone going off again. So Newcastle eventually triggered 1.3 million, and as I said, I do think we've got some add-ons in there as well, in terms of, sell-on fees and whatnot. I genuinely can't remember off the top of my head though. But he played 12 games for us. I'm fairly content with this deal. We'll continue with the out, so we'll flick across and the outs. So then Kyle Semple went on loan to Kilmarnock. Freddie Woodman, we got 7.75 million for him to Crystal Palace. Now I think he was 3.2 million plus add-ons, which never got triggered. I think certainly with Livakovic coming in, which we'll go into later, this was a deal that was fairly obvious to do. Ethan Jones away out on loan, Holstar away out on loan, Liam Diamond, the player we bought, and I'll cover him in a bit, away out on loan, Finlayson away out on loan. Tariq Dilrusan is away on a permanent for very, very little money. To be fair, I think we signed him on a free. He struggled to get a work permit. Decent loan spell, away to China. I think my scouts really rated this guy. And then once he was here, I was just like, yeah, it's not going to work really, is it? Stat-wise, I was fairly content just to get him off the wage bill at that point. Then we've got the big sale of the window, Yanis Hadji away to Burnley for 50 million, with rising up to 55 million. Just about punching with the Connor Goldson sale. I believe it does show as my highest ever sale. He played 59 games for us, scoring 33 goals. Most of them were in Season 1. Of course, Season 2 wasn't quite so good for him. I was fairly content to sell him. There's no selling fees here, I know that for a fact, because, once you're talking about 50 million, I don't tend to fight for them too much. But I felt he was a very, very good player for us. But at the same time, I don't think we can be turning down 50 million up front with add-on. Scott McKenna and Max Kilman, both away to Celta Vigo and Aston Villa respective for 6 million and 7.5 million. My hand was kind of forced in this one. Normally, I'm fairly good at contract negotiations and stuff. Unfortunately, with both these guys, I've missed it. They were both on 2-year deals, so their contract was expiring at the end of this season. And really, neither of them wanted to renew. Obviously, neither of them had really settled in the team, so that was kind of forcing our hand a little bit. So I just kind of tried to get value for them. Normally, I would try and push for a bit more, but everyone was offering, low, which was keeping them unhappy, which meant I couldn't get them a contract. We're going to go at the end of the season. So we doubled our money on McKenna from memory, 6 million for him, 3.7. So a small profit there. Kilman, I think, was slightly bigger profit. Yeah, 3.9 million to 7.5. You know, neither of them really settled into the team. Niko Katic away to POAK for 2 million, rising to 2.7. Not particularly happy with this deal, but he just couldn't find his way into the team, unfortunately. You know, he played under me 2 games. Now, it says he had a 7.9 rating, but I remember those games always being some of our harder ones defensively. Then had that loan spell, done okay, but I just felt he was never going to get in the team anymore. Harley Ewan away on loan, Lindsay on loan, Kelsey Ewan out on loan, Handlin out on loan, Caventus out on loan, who was going to be sort of pushing towards a team this season, but I felt a loan was best for him. McCrudden, Wallace, Fraser, Young Coombs, a big loan out away to Swansea, but I felt his chances this season were going to be a bit more limited. You know, 10 games, 7 goals. You know, he's been very, very good for us since he came in. A fair few assists in that as well, if I remember correctly, and this is league, of course. But I felt, you know, maybe getting him a loan wasn't a bad idea. Leighton Stewart, who will cover in a bit, out on loan. Jason Scully and Connor Allen out on loan. So as you can see, a lot of loans, not too many outs. We've not really lost anyone apart from Woodman and Hadji, which were sort of controlled. We did have a bid for Robbie McCrory for £30 million, which I had actually accepted. He was angry that I accepted it, but I felt it was a good price. So I've now got a promise with him that I'm not going to sell him. So on the ends, we've got Ross McCrory, 2.8 million from Aberdeen, former youth product. Can come in, cover multiple positions, and is already our vice captain, and I believe on a leadership course. Does it show us here? Yeah, additional focus, as you see, cannot be done because, yeah, working on a leadership course. I think he could be long term a very, very good player for us. As you see, still got that 3.5 star potential. Hopefully we can push him on for that. But, you know, he can cover here and he can come into the ball playing defender role. Not necessarily quite who I'd want to play at ball playing defender if need be, but, you know, fairly solid. I think he's better in midfield. We've got Dominik Livakovic, who I tried to sign last season, and I felt goalkeeper Robbie McCrory was very, very good for us last season, but I felt in European games he was left exposed. So I thought we'll try and get Livakovic. £10 million full deal. Very, very good. Very good at one-on-ones. Not quite as good at, you know, the passing out from the back as, say, McCrory, but much better in the shot stopping and, you know, throwing and whatnot. So hopefully we can see some improvement there. What's his negative? Okay, it's just social group. Liam Diamond, who was one of the players that I said went out on loan, is a 17-year-old regen from Hearts. He had a... Oh god, I'm going to have to take this phone call, guys. I'm sorry. 2 minutes. Okay, guys, I'm really, really sorry about that. That was my landlord phoning, so I couldn't ignore it anymore. I never get phone calls. And I feel like I should probably re-record this episode, but I am also on a time limit today to get this one recorded. Now, I do obviously record ahead, but again, I don't know how much time I'm going to have rest of the week, so I'm having to get a little bit ahead, you know, to cover off. So Liam Diamond, he is a midfielder who, again, can play in a few different roles. Now, he's a bit short, I think, you know, stat-wise, probably could move him back, but the jump and reach and his height, would create issues with that. So I see him more as, you know, a deep line playmaker if we can get the passing and the vision up. He's currently on loan to Airdrie, where he had a loan last season. It was fairly successful. They are in the Championship this season, so hopefully can go and have a good, you know, loan spell there. Lewis Nelson, 2.3 million from Dundee United, a very, very good defender, 4.5 star potential ball playing defender. Much more longer term prospect, this one. As you see, he's not played a game yet, and that's kind of because of the quality that we've brought in after him, plus trying to focus in Cresswell into the team a little bit. So Lewis Nelson's came in. Very, very excited by this prospect. I really hope he can do a good job. Played against him a few times obviously at Dundee United, and I felt like he was a very good defender, and obviously the potential and the price just felt right. So he comes in and hopefully will kick on and be that player that we need. We've got Leighton Stewart. He is a free transfer from Liverpool. I've heard a few people recommending this guy, and one of my scouts recommended him, and I thought, do you know what? Why not? Just bring him in. We don't have, you know, out with the first team, we don't have a lot of striking depth coming through the academy. We've got Robbie Ewer, who's recently been promoted this season, but I don't think he's going to make it. He's more of a poacher rather than, the kind of workhorse that we need. We've got Weston, we've got Darami, we've got Orsic, who's obviously getting on a bit. I'd have considered selling him if the right bid came in. And we've got Holzik. So, we've got 4, but there's nobody coming through the academy, if you like. You've got Richie Holster, who again probably is going to set out more out wide right. He's gone out on loan to Sunderland in the Championship, so again, hopefully that loan spell can kick him on a little bit and really develop him. When we're loaning to the Championship, a very competitive league, lots of games, lots of potential for growth. We've then started making our signings, so I'm going to butcher these names. They're all Eastern European for decent money. So for 2.9 million, we've got Damajo Bradaric, who is a left back, a like for like almost replacement for Borna Barisic in my opinion. Not quite as good at whipping the ball in, but he's 22 with a fair bit of potential. We could get him there. Again, he's fairly quick, okay in a tackle. He's a poor man's Borna Barisic, let's be honest, but he's 22 rather than 29, 30 that Barisic was. He is a like for like, and I think he will probably be the replacement for Barisic in the Croatian national team as well when Barisic sort of falls out of that. Looking at his stats, so I think for 2.9 million, you always see it's worth 8 million now. Slightly concerning with all these down arrows, but he has had an injury, but he's also played every game, so that is slightly concerning. Apart from one, rather, I think Calvin Bassey did play one. But I felt, we needed a left back. I don't know how much not having Barisic affected us at the last 6 months of last season. Obviously, the losses came in the cup final, which we probably should have won. And then when we were playing the young lads, but the losses were still concerning, of course. It's worth 8 million, which already tells me this was a pretty good deal. So hopefully he can kick on. We've then got from AS Monaco, and one that the board's not happy with is Strahina Pavlovic from Monaco, 11.5 million, centre back. He's worth 7 million, which is why the board aren't happy. 5-star potential though, good jumping reach, great physicals all round, to be honest. Very tall, brute defender, decent in the air, which is what I like. Decent mentally, okay in the tackle, okay positioning, not quite as good as Philip Hollander, for example. But key thing is we lost all our left-footed centre backs in the summer. So he was a left-footed centre back that I genuinely felt could come in. I felt from last season we didn't score enough from corners. The season before we scored a lot. Obviously that aerial presence wasn't there last season. Maybe bringing in guys like this could really help us. 21 years old. I think this was a worthwhile risk. The former Partizan and Monaco player played 10 times for Monaco, so he's not a mug. Contract, yeah, probably a bit more than what I'd want to pay wage-wise for a player of this quality, to be fair. But hopefully can kick on. And then we've got an ex-Celtic man, really. He was on Filip Benkovic from Leicester, 12.25 million, breaking the club record, which was Torrey Andrew Flo for 12 million. Comes in, fairly solid defender, not the quickest, which is obviously a big issue for me. Valued at 10.5 million, obviously had that loan at Celtic, so we know a bit about him. He played 20 games there, scored 2 goals. Scored on his debut for us. I'll go into all that next episode, of course. But an absolute monster in the air, Katic style player in the air. Fairly solid in the pass, decent vision for a defender. I think he comes in, suits our style. We can switch on a quick profit while, Nielsen, Nielsen, Cresswell and King, for example, develop in behind. I think we've got a fairly good deal here, getting Filip Benkovic for the price that we did. As I said, I think he is a natural replacement for Connor Goldson. And then we've got a natural replacement for Hadji. Florial Coleman. He comes from Leipzig for £4.5 million, so 10% of what we got for Hadji, really. 24-year-old Romanian international. Shows him as a wide inside forward on the left. I'm going to be playing him on the right, but again, he covers that whole front sort of 4 for us, and I think he would do a good job in any one of those positions, which is why I then loaned young Coombs out to make sure that his development wasn't getting hindered. I feel young Coombs is slightly behind Kai Kennedy in that, so that Kai Kennedy can be here or hereabout. He's already worth £9.5 million. This was regarded by the media as a steal. He wasn't transfer listed, but my scout said that Leipzig would accept less than what he was worth, and they did. Played 31 times for Leipzig, including how many games last season? 23 of them last season, so this is a really good deal, and they made a loss on him. I'm kind of hoping he kicks on. I think he could be a very, very good player for us. So that leaves us with 31 million out, 73 million, sorry, 73 million out, 31 million in, with a further, it's hard, 210. So we've probably spent about 50 million. And there's no real money deals here, another million there. So I think we've spent about 50 million, 31 plus, probably about 20 here, give or take, 2, 10, so there's 13, 15, right, 15 million on top of the 31. So we spent about 45 million, brought in 73, obviously only one major sale. Now we do have one more player to sell, which is George Edmundson. The current bid for him is 50 million to 18 million. I was kind of hoping to get a bit more for him, but he's not going to play a lot this season. His price is probably at its high point. That's the deal for Robbie McCrory that he really wasn't happy about as well, that you can see there, £13 million. I thought that was an absolute brilliant deal for the club. He felt he was being forced out of the club. So, hey ho, things that win. Finance wise, we're at 150 million, we've got 73 million left in the wage transfer budget. A fairly big amount left in the wage budget, but we don't want to spend that. I feel like 650 is probably already more than what I want to be spending. Selling Edmonton's not going to reduce that drastically because he's only on $4,000 a week. I've never gave him a new contract. But I'm going to end this episode here, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Apologies for my phone and stuff. But I'll hopefully catch you all next time. If you enjoyed this, hit like, hit subscribe, and I'll hopefully catch you all next time.